here with Niklas from Orbit Culture. Um, really nice to meet you today. And thanks for taking the time to have a bit of a chat with me. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing quite fine. A bit
Awesome.
a bit so-called Nordic summer that is interesting to go through.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's somewhat similar in over there in Sweden.
Yeah, it started to rain a lot here.
Uh-huh.
And the leaves have started to fall off the trees. So we're getting into the fall here for sure.
Yeah. Um, no, you've kind of just come off with of like a kind of pretty intense cycle of touring and writing and recording. You've done a bunch of festivals this summer. Um, I was just kind of wondering, like before we dive into talking about your album, um, is there like a particular moment of like recent festival tour or like this year's touring where you thought like the kind of pinch me moment, like, whoa, this is really happening like for us or to us.
Yeah, man. Pretty much all the time. Starting with Machine Head last year, there's been some moments where you really have to like pinch yourself in the arm, especially going on that Slipknot run, and you know, it's been we've been all over the place now in doing these awesome things. And I think a big thing now is that like compared to like 2022 and 2023, when we played these festivals back then, we thought like we will we will play because we are here because we we thought that would be the last summer all the time. We had that feeling, but this summer when people actually showed up to the stage, these massive crowds, we had to like stand back and like, holy shit, we're back here at a festival again, and so many people show up, and that's where we had to pinch ourselves in the arm because now more people know who we are and what we go for. So and they like the music, so it's just like, yeah, maybe we're here to stay. It feels good.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see how in a relatively short amount of time you've grown quite a bit in notoriety and people, um, more and more people showing up and very loudly singing along to your songs and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
really nice to see that you guys have made such a well kind of only upwards road, well, story or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, man. I think like we've been a band for like well over 10 years, and
Mm,
but it wasn't like until 2022 or maybe 2020 during COVID and internet when things really start to move online. But once we got out there in 2022, the train has not stopped. We just keep on playing and playing, and obviously the band are right, is rising too in a steady pace. So yeah, we're just enjoying the ride, man, so much.
yeah, and well, now we're basically at like um, another new chapter of your story with your new album Death Above Life coming out in well a couple of weeks. Um, and you've been like kind of describing this album as kind of a rebirth. How do you kind of see that like for you or the band compared to like other releases?
I think it has to do a lot with the playing, and also playing so many shows now as a support band and stuff. We really put down the groundwork to finally someday maybe become a good headlining act. That was always the goal. And of course, we've been so lucky in getting all these amazing support slots with, incredible bands. But now, we were grinding a lot on those tours just to be able to become the headline act that we're about to embark on in a few weeks here. I mean, maybe more than some weeks, but this upcoming tour that have now, Death Above Life, with the new album and stuff, it just feels like a new era. Like it comes with a huge responsibility to play rooms in this size and stuff. So yeah, we put down the work to become the headline act that we wanted to be. So now that in itself feels like a rebirth, and obviously having Century Media now backing us, it just feels like we're ready for the next step here.
Yeah, it's great to hear. The title of the album itself, it kind of, well, it sounds very heavy and kind of existential. Um, I guess it can be read sort of in many different ways. Like from what I got, like could see it as somewhat of a like resignation, some as defiance, or maybe even kind of a liberating thing. I was just kind of wondering where that phrase kind of came from and what it like more specifically means for you.
For us, it means it's this whole album is has the red thread of letting go and accepting stuff in the past that we really couldn't accept. Whether it was cutting ties with people, cutting ties with feelings, cutting ties with bullshit. Instead of like dwelling on that stuff, we wrote this album just as a therapeutic thing to get it out of our system, basically. And the title itself is kind of backwards. So I mean, at the end of the day, we would rather like choose life above death, more so. But it would be weird to name a metal album "Life Above Death," so it was cooler with "Death Above Life." But even though it's kind of a it's three words, but it means something to us. But at the same time, it can mean something completely different to another person, which is cool. So that's what I like about the title so much.
Yeah, for sure. And like you just said, like this was kind of a very kind of therapeutic thing to write. Um, as you've mentioned before with like your other music, um, made me kind of wonder when you're like channeling all that kind of bad stuff into writing your music and recording. Um, is there a point for you where you kind of know when you've worked out something enough through a song? Like, is there some kind of a lift off, or does it, after all, like kind of keep on lingering a bit?
I think I mean the biggest thing for me, the therapeutic stuff, may of course it comes from getting the lyrics out and stuff, but what I feel good about in the end is that it came together and it became something, that I made something which thought was cool at the time. Obviously, as an artist, you get tired of your shit, pretty fast. But with this album, I feel it's still very special to me. But it's more so that it gives this a moment of pleasure, just being able to say like we made this, and this is something that we crafted during a very long time, and that is very therapeutic because that heals a lot of wounds and stuff, just being that. And so that's what's cool about it, I think, for us at least.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Mhm.
There's been like a couple of like influences sort of mentioned that have like snuck into this album, so to say. Like there was somewhere mentioned that Bloodhound was kind of a little bit inspired by touring with Slipknot. Me personally, I kind of in the use of certain samples in certain in some of your songs, some specific moments, it really, really reminded me of that kind of old school Fear Factory vibe. Um, I kind of just made me wonder, like of course as a musician you're always kind of influenced by something. But for you personally, how do you manage to kind of give those influences like a healthy space in like your writing without taking away too much from the kind of orbit culture identity?
I think, I mean, for one thing is that I write all the stuff in the same like project on the computer. It's
Hmm.
just easier for me to see what works, together. The different songs between each other. So, and I have a certain way of writing stuff that I think it's hard to erase, and my DNA is in those songs in some way. But obviously, as you said, we are like sponges. We try to suck in every inspiration that we can get. If you like still get shivers on your arm, that's when we know we're gonna do something similar. Obviously, we cannot like it's hard to like replicate feelings and stuff that comes from other songs and other bands, but then oftentimes we just do stuff because we feel it's cool. uh but to answer your question properly, i think I think we know when we should step back into the orbiculture realm again pretty fast, because if it doesn't flow with like the DNA of the song, which is orbiculture, then it's not gonna work. So we still have that in the back of our minds that it still needs to have the spine of orbiculture. But with that said, we are not afraid to experiment, and which I'm also proud of because we never want to be the band that was like locked into a certain genre or something. We just write what we feel is cool at the time.
Yeah, yeah. I think overall that's one of your biggest strengths as a band that um you're like some people call you like melodic death metal, for instance, but you're not purely that. Like you're clearly influenced by it, but there's so much groove in there, and there's like a little bit of prog in there, and that like I feel that's also the reason why there's so many people starting to like clock in on you guys. Like, oh, this is something.
Cool. Yeah, man.
Um,
I that's my goal was to like put in everything that I thought was cool, but the rest of the guys thought was cool about metal, and whether it was like deathcore, melodic death metal, just smash it together, and there you have Orbiculture.
yeah, and I have to say that like Bloodhound track. After I read about like kind of influence by Slipknot, I could some parts of it I could perfectly hear Slipknot do it. Like some ways of how the drums are hit and certain parts of your vocals and such. It's like I can clearly hear the influence, but it's still like purely an Orbit Culture track, which I think is really cool, and I think that track is going to kill live.
Nice. That was the goal.
It reminds me in some ways the same feeling that I had with Strangler. It has that kind of very up pumping, like rioting thing almost, and I can imagine already a whole bunch of like a majority of the crowd shouting along to parts of Bloodhound. Yeah,
Hell yeah, man.
I
Let's
can
hope
see it
so.
work really well.
That's great.
You've mentioned in the past like the you regularly kind of write songs also from thinking from the aspect of playing it live. You made me kind of wonder, like, was that sort of one of them that was mostly inspired by kind of playing live?
Think when we wrote Shaman, the EP, that was
Hmm.
a main thing that we wanted to incorporate because we came from the album Nidia was where that album was written recorded as, not giving a fuck about how we're gonna play it.
Hmm.
Which, it was kind of messy, but we were way more, green when it comes to the actual playing. So I think we can pull that album off way better now live than we could when we released it. But Shaman was written like that, and then Descent was also kind of written during a time where we toured a lot, and we drew inspiration from other bands doing stuff that worked so well live and stuff. But now with Death Above Life, I went back to kind of the Ninja thinking stuff while keeping, not actively thinking about the live stuff, but I I I I wanted to build the album foremost as a studio album. But I think it just, uh, came in there that we're gonna play it live too in some way. So that the live stuff wasn't an active choice. It was way more about doing an album that sounds huge and stuff like that, which was the mindset for Ninja. But being, playing so much these days, I think it just naturally comes in that we gonna have to play it live too.
Talking about like sounding huge, like I felt like the production on this album was again like top notch. Like you sound so well, epic and full. Also the clever use of all of those samples. Like I recommend people to put on the proper headphones to pick up on all of those things because I was doing that today and I was like, "Ooh, that's like those little tidbits that shine through."
Awesome.
It's really cool. And like the thing with Orbit Culture is also you always had this kind of like very kind of cinematic feel in your songs. I believe that you're on that aspect like kind of influenced by um like some composers that like you really love, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, these days, getting a bit older and stuff, and being in, the realm of metal, hearing metal every day, I began to stray away a bit when it comes to like consuming music for me. So that's why I always land in, music, film scores and stuff like that. And the more you listen to things, the more you pick up, and the more you get inspired by it. So that's why a lot of cinematic elements has gone into the music just naturally like that. And I think also, I think that started like a few releases ago. We have always been wanting to incorporate samples and cinematic stuff, but this, in this age now with Orbit Culture, it feels like it is like a fifth member, a virtual fifth member for us that we can't really get rid of. But it started out, we started to use it like a tool, because sometimes you get stuck at playing your guitar or drums or whatever, and then we just threw in the MIDI stuff and had a great time with that, and you know explored that you could become really creative with that stuff too. And you don't have to sit and play all the time. You can just click in stuff and yeah, be creative in another way. So yeah, we have never been so, obviously that we have some like piano parts and maybe a cello here and there, but we always wanted the four elements, the guitar, bass, drums and vocals and stuff to be the lead and the driving force of our music. But we also want to create the atmosphere behind us with the soundscapes and stuff. So that's how we utilize that.
Yeah, for sure. You have mentioned in the past that you kind of like have a bit of a dream of like creating a or doing a little bit of a like S&M orchestral kind of thing. Um, that kind of made me just wonder, like, do you imagine Orbit Culture's music, like, in let's say a decade or more, being remembered more as kind of metal songs, or rather as cinematic pieces that kind of just happen to be heavy?
I don't know. It's a good question. Like first of all, I think I would be too scared to play guitar in front of like 50 string players because they are so fucking good at what they do. But I think obviously the cinematic stuff is so engraved in our music, so it will be tough to get rid of. Maybe we do an 180 someday and just become a proper punk band or rock and roll band. But I don't know, man. I think if we happen to write a good melody with the cinematic stuff or on a guitar, it doesn't matter. If the melody sticks, I think it might happen that people remember the cinematic stuff more. But at the same time, we are a metal band. Our roots are in metal, so hopefully we'll be remembered as a metal band.
Yeah, of course. No, well, first of all, lots of luck when the album comes out. I hope there's a bunch more people discovering you, and that everyone loves the album as much as I've been enjoying it the past couple of days.
Awesome.
Um, right after releasing the album, like you mentioned, you're gonna go on a quite big European tour immediately to promote the album. You're taking with you Gaira and Atlas, which I think is a phenomenal bill.
It
Those
is.
guys
It's
fit so
crazy.
well with you. Because they all sound different, but just like you did do their like core music in a kind of different way.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we were lucky enough to like be able to handpick those ourselves because we are huge fans. But I think we're automatically drawn to them doing something unique in some way, if that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
Gary has black metal stuff in there, but they are doing something completely new, which tickles our balls, I would say. But also Atlas. I mean, it's like a Nordic dark metal hymn infused thing that's fucking great. So I'm super stoked that they were able to join us for this one.
yeah, I believe it's going to be like I'd highly recommend people to get their tickets because it's a bill that you don't want to miss out on. I've seen every band several times already, and every time they kill it live. So it's yeah, it's a must see for this year, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess we're about there with our time. I probably could talk for another half an hour with you. It's been a pleasure.
I had to say, man. Likewise.
um, but yeah, like I'm gonna let you go on with your evening. Again, lots of luck with the album coming out in a couple of weeks, and um, I guess I'll see you when you drop by in Helsinki on tour.
Oh
Most
yeah,
definitely gonna be there.
awesome.
um, but yeah, like I would say to round it up, is there anything that you would like to add still to whoever ends up watching
I
this?
think as you were speaking about, make sure to get your tickets for this upcoming tour. It's gonna be mental. And also, as you also said, I think you should listen to this new album on headphones first, and then you can blast it in the car for sure.
Yeah,
So those
that's
are my two recommendations.
yeah, I agree. All right. Thanks again for the talk.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Um,
Rowan.
yeah,
Thank you so much.
no problem. And well, we'll see you on the road.
Absolutely. Have a nice day, brother.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.